growing up in a very big city can be a challenge. There's so many people, so much competition, so many things happening all of the time, and the traffic is horrendous. Conversely, growing up in a small rural town has its own problems. There's a lack of people, a lack of opportunity, and there's no traffic at all. I'm from Snyder, Texas, a rural West Texas town, and I'm going to show you today that Snyder is much more than just a small town. It converges urban opportunity with its rural lifestyle and its close-knit community to create an environment that is best suited for success. So first on to Snyder's rural life. Whenever you tell people that you're from a small West Texas town, a lot of people conjure up this image of oil derricks, cows, and dirt. And most of these stereotypes are justified, but there are a lot of things that are forgotten when thinking about a cow town. For instance, money. Being a 16-year-old in Snyder, Texas means you can work at any restaurant, retail store, or grocery store that you want. And seeing how little you pay in taxes, you can make roughly $7,800 in a year, just taking a 4 to 9, just 3 days out of the week. Go ahead and take a Saturday shift, and you can bump that number up to $12,460 in your first year alone. So before you're 18, you can make roughly $24,500. There's a motorcycle, your first little car, completely paid off. But also with rural Texas comes work. You're expected to work no matter who you are, even if you're not 16 yet. See, if you can lift a shovel or hold a wrench, you're expected to be out there with your dad doing something. Being a rural West Texan, your father figure is one of the most important aspects of your life. They'll teach you basically everything you know, everything you need to know, and how to work in the real world. And you're taught very expensive technical skills at a very young age. For instance, CDL required driving, stick welding, and how to run cows and work with trailers. These are all expensive skills that might cost you a very pretty penny to learn from a trade school. But like I said, Snyder is much more than a small town. Although the town itself is pretty small, Snyder is home to roughly 11,000 people, which by no means is a very small town. And so seeing that, we have lots of funding for our schools, and there's a variety of jobs to choose from. So starting with our schools, because they're very well funded, although it is a West Texas rural high school which places a lot of emphasis, an ungodly amount, on football, that's not where Snyder kids shine. Most Snyder kids do well in automotive and metal shop, and then they go on to become important service providers like linemen, car mechanics, and heavy machine operators. These are the people who make the most amount of money down in Texas. But it doesn't just stop there. Our high school also has a large and growing DECA program, which teaches kids administration skills and how to become part of the business world. So that way when they get out of high school, they can start working to be either an entrepreneur or working for already established businesses. And of course we have the Greenhouse, which is an organization that the school kind of owns, which allows students to go out and get real work experience, work on their resumes, build their resumes, so that way when they do come out of high school, they're not just coming out as a high school graduate, they're coming out as somebody who's already been involved in the workforce. But it doesn't just stop at high school. In fact, it bleeds over into college. We have a wonderful program that allows kids to take dual credit classes. So if you really wanted to, you could graduate high school with your associate's degree. But of course, that's a lot of work, and some people don't like that. But you're not out of luck yet. Just because you graduate from Snyder High School, that means you get 2 free years at the community college here in Snyder. 2 free years that you don't have to pay any money for the tuition. Of course, there are books and other fees, but that's tuition out of the way, which is a huge cost of going to college. And now on to the jobs. Most jobs in Snyder don't really require you to have a college degree. In fact, most of the people who work in big time companies now don't have a degree. Most of the people at the courthouse, Edward Jones, and the law firms around Snyder never went to college. Where they got their knowledge from was from their previous jobs. They got hired straight out of high school, spent 5 or 6 years working at a decent job where they were taught lots of technical skills, and then moved on from there to work at higher paying jobs using the skills that they had learned through their employer. But now this is all urban life that goes into the rural lifestyle that I just mentioned. So we have rural life and urban opportunities, but like I said, it's the community that really makes Snyder a wonderful place to thrive and to reach success. Because although there are other towns, other places that are like Snyder, not everybody has the close-knit good community, as you might phrase it. There's a lot of drama that can happen within a small cow town. Word gets out that somebody did this, or somebody thought that, somebody said this, and word spreads. But here in Snyder, it's a good spread. Whether or not, that of course that depends on you. If you can start making a name for yourself in high school, that's great. But of course, some of us aren't the best academically, or some of us don't have the time to put in there, or some of us just don't fit well in a high school environment. Others work best outside. And so how are you supposed to build up your reputation outside of high school? Well, you can volunteer. Snyder is full of places to volunteer at. The senior center, the student youth center, the food cupboard, the soup kitchen. These are all places where you can go and you can build a reputation as a young person who works well with others. Of course, it's not just the people that you're working with who see the good job that you're doing. Like I said, word gets around. So when you're doing a good job, it's not just your employer or your co-workers that see. It's the whole town that sees. So whenever you're ready to move on from just volunteer work and are ready to start getting paid real money, the people around you know who you are. They know your work ethic, and they know what you can do for them. And these are the 3 reasons why Snyder is the ideal community to achieve success. Its rural lifestyle paired with its urban opportunities, and then of course its tight-knit community that is very supportive and caring. And so that's why Snyder is the ideal community to achieve success.